of Legends Anonymous podcast with new guys right now. It's happening. I told you guys I was making a call to the public. A few select gentlemen, some may refer to them as superheroes of their generations, heard the call, stepped forward. I mean, they had to stop lifting weights, leave the gym, for even a minute. And I appreciate that sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. Their pecs are going to go to shit being on this podcast as much as they're going to be because, we're doing tryouts this week. These are guys that want to be on the show. I like these guys. So that's the number one. The number two is let's see how it actually works. And if you like these guys, let us know, comments, shoot emails to the podcast. Tell me what you think and whether or not we have made good decisions. Keep in mind that I am fully aware that Lola has a history of not making good decisions. But I think I've done it this week. I'm going to bring you and introduce you to some guys. Here's a name that you may know if you've been around the Discord for some time. You may recognize him from community games. It's Justice Stove. Hey, Stove, what's up, man?
Hey, everyone. I'm Justice Stove, or Stove for short.
Mm-hmm.
I am Plat 3, High Plat 3. I abuse support and abuse Leona. Happily.
It's the way to go. It's a good one.
But if in community games, I'm going to play top jungle. Everybody knows I just can't play mid. That's the one role I can't play at all.
All right. So, did you have to buy an 8-bit webcam?
No, this is older than most people's kids.
I can tell. Because you look like you are in a comic rendering of yourself. Like you should be eating mushrooms and
Look, I was a poor ass high school student, and this was like 30, 40 bucks.
Cool. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you guys like Stove, the first thing I'm going to do is send him a webcam that was made in in this
Within
set
the
of
decade.
past 10 years. We'll send him a new webcam from that Patreon money, which basically means, Stove, that I will have played however many games of Poppy to buy you a webcam. So I hope you appreciate this.
Oh, of course.
Because that has fucking sucked. I will tell you. The funny thing is, Poppy, that's a niche fucking champion. That is not, it doesn't go great into every matchup. It is literally really good or really fucking bad. And I've been jamming out 40 games on it. And I will buy you a webcam with that money. That's how much I care. All right?
As
Plus,
someone who plays...
I'd like to see what you look like and not what a cartoonist thinks you look like based on your webcam.
Here's the thing. If you get me a better webcam, you may not like what you see.
It's like, oh God! Plug in the old one! Go back!
Please, go back.
So, alright, also with us today, you may recognize him from Germany, if you live there. Adrian is joining the podcast. Thank you for coming, man. Understand that the podcast is recorded between 8:30 and 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Adrian, what time is it right now?
It's 4:40 a.m. over here right now.
4:40 a.m., friends. So,
God damn.
Adrian's badass is the long and short of what I'm trying to get at here. He's a huge fan of the podcast. He's been popping in and out of the Discord, which is also a thing that would be quite difficult for him to do. So, given that, I did specifically warn him, Adrian, this shit is going to be very difficult for you to be here. You understand that it's in the middle of the damn night for you. And he's like, yeah, that's how much I love Lola fans. And I said,
I gotta
really?
Say, I gotta say, I thought about trying to join the podcast for actually quite a long time, but I was always not so sure about it. But after the last episode, I was like, no, this time I really gotta try it. I'm Adrian. I'm from Germany, 28. I'm at the moment just yesterday reached platinum again after swapping back to support from mid lane, where I managed to reach platinum the past 2 seasons as well. But I don't know, support is just the best damn role there is.
I mean, obviously, we've built a podcast around it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And that's also one thing that I thought about with joining. I'm gonna be like, damn, now I'm support again and it's more support mains, but that should be fine. And I don't know. The last thing I'm gonna say slash brag about is I was a challenger in 3-3 like 2 seasons, but that's also easy elo mode, or that's what we call it over here, when it existed back then. So yeah.
So what you're
That's
saying
it for me.
is you managed to beat all 100 other people that played 3v3s?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That's
And
impressive.
Titan community knew all of them, so yeah.
So, Adrian, I was actually shocked whenever I looked at. Okay, so about 3 or 4 years ago, we got an email from like some random ass company that's like, "Hey, you should check out your statistics for downloads and like where your fans are at." And I'm like, "Okay, let's find out where our fans are at." And we spiked in like Germany in particular, which that shocked the shit out of me. I didn't expect that. And then also in Malaysia, right? So, Adrian, are you purely German or are you German Malaysian? And I just didn't
No.
know.
No, purely German, purely
Purely
German.
German. Okay, purely German. So, fun fact, I am actually like half German.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Nice.
the half of me that's good at League of Legends. The other half is Scotch Irish.
Damn.
Yeah, so I am theoretically built to be a war machine.
Well, I mean,
You know,
your support man and doing good, so
right.
shows.
So, just saying, got these good times, good times. Hey, out of curiosity, my mother's maiden name is Gutekunst, which I understand means good art. Is that accurate?
Yes, 100% accurate.
Yeah, there you go.
But never heard it as a last name over here in Germany.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. But it's real. I promise. I didn't make that
Yeah,
up
no.
because I have zero German language skills to be able to make up such a thing. I promise. So, all right, sweet. Last but not least, we have -2 coins. What's up, -2 coins?
What's up? I am not a support main. I can bring a little diversity, I guess, and be different from you guys.
All right, it's been fun having you on the show, -2 coins. No, I'm just kidding.
there
What's
goes
up?
that.
What do you play?
So I play. It's kind of a meme. In my friend groupish, I main something different, like what feels like every month. Generally, I always go back to ADC jungle. Recently, I was playing support, but you guys have insane mental to play that role consistently. I can't do it in climb.
Yeah, it's maddening. I honestly like. But then ADC's the same fucking thing. I mean,
Kind of.
realistically, because
Yeah.
like what I always tell people that describes support to me in a nutshell is like, imagine playing a game, and you have 6 buttons, and you can only hit 3 of them, and somebody else at random hits the other 3 buttons. Like not hitting them at random, but pick a random individual, whether it be like a very qualified gamer or that very qualified gamer's grandmother who has no fucking clue what she is doing, and then have them hit those 3 buttons, and that is how you will play this game until you escape landing phase. But ADC is the same damn thing, man. You've got your 3 buttons. They're just different than
Yeah.
mine.
I just kind of hope my support hits the right buttons, and if they don't, I try not to. Actually, I have chat off right now because I'm trying to be more serious
Good
about
man.
my climb.
Good man.
Smart move. Smart move.
I was plat as of last week, and then
Did something happen?
I may have demoted to gold 1.
Oh shit!
So another reason to see you guys later, right?
Yeah. See you, dude. Just good.
I-
No, you're good, man.
I used to play TFT a lot. I peaked Diamond 2 in TFT,
Damn.
But it is very stressful to stay up to date on that, because if you fall behind for even a patch, it's hell to get back through.
I feel like I
Lots
have
of
no
grindy
idea
stuff.
I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing in that game ever.
Yeah, it is not something you can just pick up at random and be decent at. In like a qualified, like in a diamond level, plat level, because diamond is not that big of a deal in the TFT community. It's kind of like gold or plat in in Summoner's Rift.
Probably like mid gold.
Yeah.
Like low plat.
Yeah. But I peaked plat 1, 75 LP. I remember it vividly because was it towards the end of a season. I was one-tricking Kane at the time, and I hit an absolute brick wall and just fell on my face.
And E'd through it?
Yeah, then E'd through it. And then I failed my Q over first. And then had to E through it, and yeah, it was rough life.
You were ignited, you tried to E through the wall, and it just wouldn't let, no.
Failed my flash, all of it.
And got pinged for it.
So, fellas, here's the scoop. I think this is going to work out nicely. I think we have a good group here with diverse opinions and strong jaw lines. So, we're going to talk about a topic that you all have selected, and I was not paying attention when you did because I was setting up the stream, and apparently this is going to be a nightmare whenever I go, what the...
Oh, wait.
Son of a bitch!
Welcome back.
Okay, that's gonna mess up the audio after 11 minutes, but here we go. We're just gonna keep going. They can patch this together. That's why we pay the audio editor. So, where was I? I completely lost my train of thought.
You were just gonna introduce the topic.
Oh, sweet. And we're back. And so, for some reason, spontaneous disconnection happened. That's why we have our audio editor. Shout out to him. I appreciate you, buddy. That said, yeah, we're going to do a topic. And these guys have picked it. I wasn't paying attention whenever we picked it. I hope it's great. And that topic is anybody?
Pinging. The effectiveness of pings.
Effectiveness of pinging. We haven't talked about that in a while. So, seems like a good topic. So, guys, I have found that of late, it has been a very good idea for me to turn off chat entirely and pretend like I'm in a bot game. And the only way that leaves me any ability to communicate with my teammates is through pings. So, being able to convey to people the importance of what it is I am doing, why I am doing that, who I am attacking, who my target is, etc., pings have become increasingly important beyond, mostly underlined by the fact that I am not typing. I know that, Coins, you said you've turned off chat. You finding that to be the case for you as well?
For sure. I think this season is all about what team keeps the stronger mental, and the first team to go off the rails loses.
So how do you think pings factor into that realistically?
So I don't think it factors into that specifically, but having chat off helps me keep my mental. With pings, nothing you type in chat, it just takes you away from whether it's your micro, your macro, whatever. Thank you for that, by the way.
Sorry, I'm saying. Here's
good.
the thing. I was trying to do that quietly. Okay. All right. Shout out to Old School Podcast. Ernie. Okay. So originally, guys, for all of you that don't know, we're at episode 315 or some shit. Back on episode 1, we had 3 guys. It was me, Sam, and Ernie. And, Sam and I, we had done podcasting before. Ernie was relatively new to it. And Ernie just, I don't know what it is about the guy. He's skinny Asian dude, not incredibly personable, but grows on you over time. And that's not a slam on Ernie. I have told Ernie this in person so many times that he's just one of those guys that you he grows on you. I mean, he ended up being like one of the main kind of personalities of the podcast that people grew to love. But we got so much shit in the beginning of the podcast during the original like 10 episodes because Ernie was like, he would eat cereal during the podcast. And I'm like, oh God, like you've got to stop doing that. Or like soup. And I'm like, why do you always eat liquid during the podcast? Like it drives people insane because they're like, all I can hear is Ernie's spoon. Take food away from Ernie. Like, and I'm like, oh shit. And then like a couple episodes after that, you know, we would all get drinks and stuff and we have those set aside or whatever. And, you know, generally we would make a habit of like drinking shit as we were talking because you talk for a while, your voice gets parched and whatever. And Ernie stopped eating soup, but then started like popping soda cans like super loud during the podcast, and that drove people crazy. And then finally, I just said, okay, look, I'm going to try to make an effort to not do that. You know, I'm not, whatever. I mean, it was me once in a blue moon, for the record. But Ernie was super bad about it, and Sam's the kind of guy, like probably the best organizing host that the podcast ever had. I am absolutely shit in comparison to, you know, the level that Sam was at in terms of like getting feedback from the community, incorporating it immediately, and this is how we're gonna improve and grow our metrics and whatever. And I always thought, you're trying way too hard. You know, it just needs to be a thing. Like we just need to be Lola and it'll be fine. And anyway, Sam had an episode where he was like, guys, getting all this feedback about these sodas and shit. We gotta stop popping these sodas during the show. It's driving people fucking crazy. All I get is emails about all the soda openings, and I'm like, that happened like twice in the last 10 episodes. All right, fine, we're not gonna do it. And then the very next episode, I opened like 15 sodas on the podcast. Like I didn't even drink them. I just opened them and set them aside as like an aside to everything I was saying. And Sam, I could tell, was super pissed, but it became a running joke. Like as I kept doing, I had a fucking 12-pack like right here off screen, and I just kept popping them and setting them down, and not drinking, never drinking, just popping them and opening it. I had to drink so much fucking soda that day.
That seems like such a waste. Like.
No, man, the point was that I'll be damned if, you know, like, I appreciate your feedback, but if that's the kind of shit that irritates you, this is probably not your podcast, right? Like, if you are expecting abject professionalism, nobody has ever used those two words to describe Lola Podcast, ever. So, sorry. Yeah. Better rip that Band-Aid off now. Anyway, what's up?
This comes from someone like, I'm a very spiteful person. I would happily do that. I'm just like thinking that's such a waste of drinks. Like
dude,
what?
$3. I made a point, and after the thing was over, I did like put them all into a bottle and like seal it, right? And I drank like 5 sodas that day anyway, so it was rough. Here's the thing. When I was, and this was, I mean, Lola's been running for like, what, 5.5 years now or something?
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, 5.5 years ago, there were a lot of things different. One, I had hair. 2, I was not like gray in the beard. And 3, I could drink 5 sodas without wanting to die. Now, this is not a gamut I would play, right? I have children that I could be like, hey, Max, do you want to drink a soda right now? And he'd be like, yes. And there you go. You know, it's not wasted.
Running back and forth all.
Yeah, that gets jazzed. Gets jazzed enough. By the way, I've got a total aside that I'm gonna bitch about for a second. Like, so my kid is in t-ball, right? Or not t-ball. It's coach pitch at this point, but it's little kids baseball. And it's super fun to watch. They're really just starting to build fundamentals, and they're like making plays and stuff. And it's crazy whenever like you see baseball being played by one of your kids. It's fun, like actual baseball, not the dumb shit that parents cheer for when your kids are like 3. That's cute,
Right.
but not really good to watch, right?
When
Yeah.
they
So-
start to understand that, like,
Yes.
you can throw the ball, catch the ball.
Right, it's like real baseball. I'm like actually watching baseball games. Like, it's super fun. But like, there is a set of parents that show up to the game, just 2, like a dad and a mom. And they show up to a game and they just sit there and vape like hard, right? Like the
No.
whole game,
Okay,
like-
I got worried.
like a fucking chimney, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, this is a little kid's baseball game, man. There's like tons of signs that say no smoking. I know that you distinguish vaping from smoking, but really it's not all that different. Like,
Tomato,
you know,
tomato.
tomato
Yeah.
kind of a deal. I was like, come the fuck on. So this lady and the one guy I know is smoking weed out of the vape. Like, I'm positive it's weed. I haven't called him on it yet, but I'm like, yeah, dude, I know what weed smells like, and that is certainly weed, but whatever.
I went to college.
Yeah, I went to college, man. I'm worldly.
Yeah.
So the other day, like, we're at this little place, and there's like the bleachers are right here, and this lady's sitting like right here, and she's just smoking like a chimney, like the whole time, just. And the wind is blowing straight across, like, all these children, like little kids. And finally, one of the moms gets pissed, and she leans over to this lady, and she's like, trying to be super nice. And she goes, "Excuse me." And the lady's like, "Yeah?" And she goes, "Does that vape have nicotine in it?" And the lady completely misses what she's trying to say, and she's like, "Oh yeah, totally. There's some that have like no nicotine in them, and some that have like a ton of nicotine in them, and you can just get whatever it is that you want that's between those two things." And she's like, "Yeah, cool, but does that one have nicotine in it?" And she like finally connects the pieces, and she's like, "Oh, yeah. But I'm just trying to blow it that way. You know, the wind is crazy." And I'm like, move! Move over there! These are 3-year-olds, man. Like, it's like, I can tell you what flavor your fucking vape is, and I'm like 20 feet away from you. What the fuck is your problem? You know, anyway, that's a side parenting bitch because I'm old and can't drink as many sodas as I used to. So,
See,
anyway, sorry, I kind of derailed and killed that
Oh, I actually-
conversation. But
I
by the
actually-
way, for the record, it was tropical. That was the
Okay.
flavor. It was
Oh, nice.
purple in color and tropical in taste. I can tell you because I know. Like, Jesus. Anyway, so fellas, pings. We were talking about that at one point in time. Coins. Floor is yours, friend.
Yeah.
All right.
So, okay, so I get coached at least semi-often, right? Like, I think there's a lot of effectiveness in it, and there's always something to learn, even if you're doing well. If you're on a huge win streak, still valuable to get coaching, 100%. And I was playing support at the time, like we talked about, and he was like, you got to be communicating with your team and kind of like controlling them like puppets, because if you don't, they're like 2-year-olds. And the second you stop pinging, your team runs it down and they just all die for no reason. And, you know, a lot of times I think the lower elo you are, you think people don't listen to pings. And I felt that true in, you know, high gold, low plat, mid plat even, you know. And the amount of control that those had instantly. I remember a game, it was the start of a game, our jungler wanted to invade, and my Jhin was going to follow, and I was like, no, this is dumb. They have like 10 times the level when we do, guys. Like, don't. And I pinged Jhin off, and he immediately started walking backwards towards our buff. Like, 2 weeks ago, before that, I would have never tried it, and we would have just ran it down, and I would have followed, just because I don't want my team to run it down alone. I want to be supportive of us running it down mid. So yeah, like you can control your teammates way more than you would think. Don't be aggressive with pings like 10 times, but like if you ping 3 times, generally that's like not toxic, but you get the point across.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. That's also one thing I've been doing way more lately. Is like just trying to short goal with the pings a little bit because oftentimes people like don't have an idea what they're doing, especially like the lower you go. They don't have any idea. They don't play the game with a plan, I would say. And like if you see, okay, we can push this mid tower here, or we can just rotate to dragon now because like their jungler's top lane at the moment, then you can just ping that. I mean, if they don't come, they won't come. But if you don't ping it, they will never come. There's no chance of them actually doing that, making the correct play or the smarter play than just, I don't know, running around in the jungle farming chickens as 3 or something.
Yeah. On top of that too, we always say our teammates don't know what they're doing, but if our teammates don't know what they're doing in their position, in their main role, how are they going to know what we're thinking of wanting to do? Use your pings. Hey, I have Ignite. Ping on the way to go in on the 2v2 bot, right? A lot of support mains come across the podcasters, and, you know, speaking from that perspective, like, yeah, like, if you go in on an engage on a Leona or a Thresh, once you're in, like, there is no coming out. An Alistair, you know? So, yeah, on that point, they don't know what we're doing either. So
if you're
you have to
unfortunate
figure it out.
enough to play Poppy, you're not getting out.
That is
No.
true.
Yeah, I'll
That
tell
is
you
true.
that right there.
Unless
You're
you have ult.
all the way fucking in. That's it. Like you get a little movement speed to run away, you may be able to pick up a shield if you're lucky, but yeah, you're gonna get.
One of the things people need to know about pings, I've been doing it more, is you ping on them. You ping on the person because it's gonna come out a lot louder, and if they're like me and they're a dirty lock screen scrub.
Jesus Christ, Stove, really?
Yes.
Do I have to go over this? Like, I don't want to. I don't want to keep having this
Okay.
discussion.
It
I am
is-
315 episodes into this goddamn
Okay.
show, and I don't know how many times I have to say unlock your fucking screen. Like,
Is it okay? If I'm in lane, it's locked or in a team fight. Anytime else, like I start roaming or I want to like check another lane, it's unlocked. How's that?
go back to 1983 and kick the shit out of you right now. 'Cause, anyway,
Go kick my dad's balls. I was probably in there at that time.
yeah, it's like that one. I just have to hit one of them. I don't know which one, but just got to get that one sperm and just fuck him up before. No, I was saying because of your fucking webcam. It's 1983. Anyway,
I will say on Adrian's point too, with pinging objectives and things, your teammates, unfortunately, are junglers as well. Even though the jungler's on the other side of the map, either getting him to come on the right side or pinging their jungler on the wrong side. If you don't do things like that, then we're gonna do the famous NA ram, right? And it's always a meme that I love because when somebody says, "Why are you doing that?" when I'm being coached or something, I just meme about it and say, well, that's what TSM showed me to do in LCS this past weekend.
nice. So, okay, I will. I do want to step in. I got a couple of points on this one. So on the pinging thing, when Double Lift got coached, or Double Sniffed, sorry, got coached. The coach was very insistent. Like you need to be pinging everything that you do, like whatever your intention is, ping the shit out of it and get there and do that thing. And if you cancel what it is you're gonna do, ping that. Like utilize pings as like you would breathe almost. Like it needs to be a mechanical thing. Not like did I right click and then ping? That kind of a deal, right? And to that end, yeah, I am not pinging enough during a game, and I recognize a lot of that. It wasn't until I decided to start building the skill of trying to trace the jungler and watch the mini-map, and every time the jungler shows up, I would ping the jungler, right? And if he was close to a lane, I'd ping danger, right?
Right.
I think Stove hit on something that's really important, and that's like the ping is not like people do this. My lane's gone. Ping right next to me. Right? And like ping right next to me does you no fucking good because your mid laner is not looking at bot lane MIA ping. Right? Like ping the mid laner. MIA, you know, like not don't ping the mid laner, but ping MIA across his lane so it appears on his screen. And he knows that the support may be coming to gank him. Right? Like that's the kind of ping that actually conveys information. If you just ping on your own screen, it doesn't. Right? And I ping the mini map a lot for that purpose. Like that's the easy way to do that.
Another way you can, if you want to do multiple pings, like Two Coins said, like 3's typically the magic number when people don't get tilted past that. It's I speak from playing support. It's if I don't see the support or I don't see the bot lane, I will ping like around the dragon area and up to his lane and then in his lane. It's like, hey, watch this path. Like, possibly something danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Okay, so another use of pings that we haven't discussed yet is I have pinged gank routes that I want somebody to take. So like if I see that my jungler's coming in to gank and I know that river is warded, I'll ping the bush that's warded and then I'll ping like in a line, like go this way. Like
connect the dots, please.
Yeah, I have like pinged up and around the dragon and back through Tribush, right? And they'll follow that path and they'll do it because I've given them like a yellow brick road to successfully ganking my lane. And normally they're just going to rush in. Your gank is going to fail because maybe the other side sees you coming. I don't know. It's plat and people have, you know, heads and asses pretty much.
It's so bad.
So, I mean, yeah, wards are a 50-50 thing, but, you know, there you go. The other thing that I do want to tie into pinging is that pinging is exceptionally more valuable when you are the one that set vision, right? Like, not only to go and set vision, right? But, like, in other words, ping for help and then go set vision in a dangerous area when you have help, right? Or your vision that you have set up leads you to make more valuable pings, right? Like deep warding as a support, whenever you know you can get away with it, I have left lane because I see the jungler top, and then I'll go deep ward his red, and like if you can get away with that and deep ward behind like the bush, okay, red's shit. I don't know how am I gonna explain
Are
this.
you red
Bottom
side or
left,
blue side?
right? Bottom left corner. Red buff is right at kind of south center.
Yeah.
There's that curved bush that you can go to Krugs or you can go to red buff. If you put a pink ward in that bush, it will not be spotted until mid game. They will run past it 1,000 times and they will never check that bush because they have no reason to be looking at their screen while they walk through it. And unless they just happen to notice it, it's going to sit there forever. So if you see them top and you know you can throw that ward, do, right? And a lot of people, like supports, they kind of automatically go, oh, well, I want my pink ward in my side bush or in the tri bush. And it's like, okay, that will last for however long. You'll get vision of it for however long. And you will know if you're about to be imminently ganked, right? My board, I will know whether we are in danger of being ganked at all. I prefer that information. Like, I want to know if the jungler's on my side of the map.
Yeah.
Because then I can just, I know I'm not going to get ganked because I don't play forward when the jungler is there. And so even if he wants to try to gank me, hell, he could sit in the tri-bush for 5 fucking minutes. And if I know that he's there, okay, waste your time. Put yourself behind. You know?
Hopefully your jungler is like, oh, he's down bot. Let me either gank top or get Herald or take his entire side.
Yeah.
But Funny enough, you speak about that bush. My friend used to level 1 by a pink ward. Like, this is old. Like, season 4, season 5. He would rush a pink ward, no pots, go straight to that bush, no matter how dangerous it was. He didn't care. Put a pink there. I think we had one game that went 40 minutes. He never moved that ward.
Shit, you gotta be kidding me.
That's crazy.
So,
No
okay. I want to do a side bit of ADC support, whatever. When you are on that side, which I believe is the red side, I don't really pay attention, but red side should be bottom left, blue side should be top right, correct? I have my shit
Yes.
on
Oh, no.
colorblind mode,
Yes,
so I've
I
given
think
up
I
on
think it's
this.
the other way around.
It's-
Bottom left is blue side.
Okay,
Top,
whatever.
yeah, isn't top
bottom
right
left. I'll just say
blue?
bottom left, top right. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
When
Alright.
you are on bottom left, the tri-bush right there by bot lane that goes, off towards Scruggs or red buff or towards lane. One of the two of you, either you or your support, needs to run directly from platform, like directly from fountain, and ward that bush. Every time. Every game, immediately. Because that will block sneaky invades. That will block bush cheese on your way back from red buff. That will block, it just gives you so much useful information. And it can't be safely done by posting up there. Because the problem with posting up there physically is that you are at risk. If they turn that corner on you, you are fucked. You have no reaction time, you are burning flash. It is far better to utilize your ward early to prevent that catastrophe from happening. And you have no idea how many invades I have spotted out by virtue of having that ward in that bush. And you can body check the top side. And I don't mean stand in... Okay, so whenever I say this, the back side of red buff on that side, a lot of people want to stand in that bush. Don't do that. Because if you stand in that bush, you are within engage range. But if you stand back to near where your raptors, or what the fuck are raptors now?
Chickens.
Chickens,
Yeah.
ghosts, spooky, whatever. If you stand back towards that, on that side, you can always run away. They can't ever engage. There's no blind corner by which they can realistically engage on you. And you have forewarning if they invade.
Yeah.
Right? And you're never in engage range. So,
And I'll say on top of that, kind of going off, running straight to that bush. I played in like this mini league in my Discord, in like a Midwest Discord, and we would play a lot of flex games, obviously, to practice, build synergy, whatever. We would die over and over and over to invades because both the pixel brush and that bush, that tri-bush, were not both like scouted out. So what I do in solo queue now, because most people go towards the pixel bush and like the invade route that you take, I'll go in tri-bush, place a ward over right on the other side of the drag wall, so that way I can see if they try and wrap around a little bit there. And
alright,
can sit in
explain
that
again where
Yeah.
you're doing this at.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm
so-
trying to I'm like mapping this out in my head, and I
Yeah.
feel like that meme where there's like the guy's thinking and there's like triangles and shit all over the
Right.
screen.
From Hangover. Yep.
Yes.
so
yeah.
so we're at red buff is where our jungler starts bot side.
Yeah.
Tri-bush brings us to red, Krugs, and river.
Yep.
Or lane, whatever.
Mhm.
That bush is the one I'll stand in, and I'll ward directly over the dragon wall towards like the dragon wall that faces their bush, their river brush, and their
Okay.
jungle. So that way, if they
Where
wrap
does the
around them-
vision extend in that regard? Does it go like if you throw that ward out, you get from kind of the bot side of Dragon Pit in a
Right.
circle to their bush?
to like their top side of that jungle entrance to their blue buff?
Ah,
So what it does
Yep.
is it allows me to stand in the bush safely, and I can go back without placing my ward in the bush. Could track the enemy jungler if he takes some stupid path, but more than that, I can hit tab and see if I saw them on the screen, so I know if they're potentially in my bush, in my tri bush. And it's just like a safer way. So like, if they have a Blitzcrank, a Nautilus, a Thresh, that they can't just engage on me as they're on that corner, like you were saying.
Okay.
Oh.
So I want to also chime in. That does not work on the top side of Dragon.
Correct.
Do not
Correct.
the number one mistake I always see people wanting to do is turning the corner and warding that one little pixel brush right by Dragon Pit, so they have the vision of that whole area.
Nope.
That vision is fucking useless to you, right? Like, what more do you get out of that vision? You're gonna know what if you're being invaded. You're gonna know that if you just stand 10 feet back, right? And by moving out there, you're literally just putting your head into a guillotine and hoping that nobody is letting go of the rope, right? It is like crazy stupid. So like, there's very little to gain and very much to lose. Now, my only concern about what you're saying is how quickly can the enemy get there on the bottom side? Are you ever in danger whenever you toss that ward?
Once I've placing that ward, since I've started doing that, I've never been engaged on or anything. So like, I've never died. I'll either see it coming, and then we can also see them exit to their jungle if they go the same way. So I've never died doing it personally.
That seems really valuable.
Well, like a Blitzcrank.
Well, I mean, there's no good path to get there, is what I'm thinking.
And who's
gonna
you have blind to hook that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
From that position, like, it's just kind of dumb to blind hook that as a Blitzcrank or a Thresh because the cooldown's so long. Level 1.
And the mana cost is so high on Blitz.
Yeah.
Like, it's a third of your mana. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Kind of justified.
Oh, if you hit it, it's like, hey!
Yeah, right.
Hooray!
I also have another way of kind of preventing invades, because it might, like, I think invades still mostly happen. People walk like from the base through the base entrance, and then like if your bot side mostly pass red buff, or if your top side pass the blue buff, and then they go through the river towards the pixel bush. But if you just, like, especially as a mid laner, that's what I mostly do, is like I just walk up through mid lane and then turn the corner into that river bush, because like if you walk instantly, the enemies can just be as fast as you are maximum. So if you want to go to the river bush, you will see them going to that river bush if they want to invade that way. And if you go, if they go the other route, you will be in the river bush before they exit their banana bush, or the old banana bush that's not there anymore. So you can always safely leave back towards your tower, or the other way, like depending on where they're coming from. But like just standing in that bush has like gotten me first bloods and prevented so many engages, because you can just stand there with your team. Always, as we talked before, ping them that you're walking there. I always ping like 2 or 4 times, depending on like the time when I do it, to just walk there through mid lane into that bush. And sometimes there's just one guy like straggling behind when they're invading. You can catch him out, kill him, and then you just already won the invade without putting yourself in much risk.
So to go back to the topic at hand, and that's very good information, not trying to jet you off here, but I'm going to use the T-ball analogy or baseball analogy again, because, you know, like I said, I've been ass deep in baseball for like the last, my kids got rained out for like a month and a half, and we had no baseball games, and now I've had like 100 baseball games in a week because we're, anyway, but like, whenever you, like, doubles coach, whenever he would preach about pings matter, right? And, you know, the first thing that everybody says is nobody even fucking listens to the ping, right? And his answer to that was like, so they don't listen. Is that a reason to develop a bad habit?
True.
Because failure to ping is a bad habit that you are developing because you don't believe anybody pays attention to them, right? And so that reminds me, whenever the Little League Baseball tie-in is, these kids, they have them trained that if they make any contact with the ball, they have to run towards the base, even if it's obviously foul, right? Like, everybody knows that is a foul ball. Nothing's going to happen. Your energy is wasted, and we all know it, but your ass is running to that base, 7-year-old kid, right? And this is pinging. Like, if you don't ping and you don't make those moves, then yeah, you're training yourself to do something wrong. And then it's going to screw you the first time that ball doesn't go foul and you just sat there and watched it.
Yep.
Right? Like, yeah, you got to, like, you are responsible for putting out maximum effort if what you're wanting to do is climb. And that is maximum effort, right? Anything short of that is an excuse for failure.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I think you should also like, or not you should, but one thing that you can keep in mind is like, I think there's still some danger in like in pinging objectives and then like that being the wrong call. Like, for example, when I ping Baron, I try to not ping Baron directly. I ping right beside Baron, because if you ping Baron, it's gonna say who pinged it. But if that call then goes to shit, people are not gonna listen to you anymore. So that's why, like, obviously when I like attack people or like
that is
kill
so
somebody,
fucking sneaky. It's like, I don't actually ping the
big brain
objectives
knowledge.
because
That's
then they will
actually big
know.
brain.
you gotta
Holy
outsmart
shit.
your teammates the same way you outsmart the enemies. You're just gonna do the same exact thing. You're just gonna think they're stupid, they don't know what they're doing, you're gonna tell them what to do, but not show that it was your mistake. Like, I mean, sometimes
Meanwhile,
obviously,
have
like,
no accountability in doing so, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
They
God,
just kept
that's
doing
great.
it. I don't know what
No,
what
I-
happened. It wasn't my
next
fault.
to Dragon.
No,
next
it
to
actually makes me laugh because that's funny and true, but I've never thought about that as like a viable strategy, but it is, and it's so true. But yeah, no. So yes, on that, it's cool. The other thing I would say is, like, there is a difference. If you ping on Baron, that is saying start Baron.
Yeah.
If you ping
Yes.
near Baron, you're like, hey, maybe we position towards Baron, right?
Sure.
And that's just that maybe inch and a half on the screen conveys a completely different message, right? So, I mean, that's another thing to think about. Also,
Hey.
accountability.
Another like kind of like ping trick you could do if you don't want to actually start Baron. Like, obviously you ping Baron. It's gonna be like, okay, we want to target this thing. There's a big target over Baron's head. We're going for it. If you want to, I typically do it is I'll ping the area. Like, I'll probably do the pixel brush, and then ping careful, like the careful yellow ping on Baron. It's just like hop off of it, like, but keep an eye on it. Like, we want to be around here.
Yeah.
We don't want to be like
See,
just
like-
standing around with our dicks in our hands.
And see, that's what, like, you need, like, and this is the thing about ping clarity that gets me, because I'm not 100% sure how this conveys. But, like, I once saw a guy ping Baron itself, like, we're going to take Baron, ping, 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 and then he pings question mark. I'm like, okay, are you asking whether we should take Baron? Or are you saying, take Baron, I don't know where the enemies are? Right? Because
Yeah.
those two things can be pinged with the exact same thing, and it's... So what happened was, he did that, and then somebody pinged on the way, and then it was like, okay, we're all doing, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is, like, the other thing... Okay. I'm going to mention this, and I already hate mentioning it, because I feel like it's so easy to completely misinterpret them, right? But be careful when you ping Baron, because people ping Baron at really fucking stupid times, and it's like, it's different when you're in like a flex game and you have your teammates like, let's go,
On
you know,
comms.
on
Right.
comms, and you can say, hey, let's go, ping, 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 let's go. And then they go, okay, yeah, and then they pay attention, they go. Because even on comms, people don't always pay attention to the voice chat.
Right.
Because they'll tune it out, they're doing something important, and even then, pings are still useful, even in comms. But the biggest opportunities that you have to make those pings are usually immediately after a big play, right? Like, we cleared 3 of them, ping, Baron, right? The one thing that and the reason I hesitated to bring this shit up, because everybody pretends like whenever I say something like, "Oh, if you kill these people, then you should go to Baron," they're like, "This is written in stone, given to us from the mountain, and it was
Right.
always true. Why has Papa Smurf said go to Baron?" And I'm like, "There's an empty Nexus, asshole. Kill the Nexus. Like, do that first, right?" But this is part of the tempo discussion we had like 30 episodes ago or something. Get the most important thing that you can get. Don't always ping Baron, because you can do Baron. I will almost always prefer to take an inhibitor first if it is on the table, and then go get Baron, right? And it may be that you get an inhibitor, and then you recall, and then you go to Baron. And the reason you do that is because if you go straight to Baron, you're inviting a fight that you might immediately lose. But if you recall and you go to Baron at full strength, you can do the Baron dance with the other team, spend your money, right? So you're that much stronger. Right. And the longer you dance with them, the quicker super minions are hopping their merry ass down the lane to go wreck their base. And so if you can stall long enough, you're going to get that Baron. Like, no solo queue team, short of like Diamond 2, is capable of actually coordinating a Baron dance versus a loss of pressure on the map.
Right. Yeah. And a couple things on that too. What you said, with the pinging side of stuff.
Yeah.
There's unfortunately no way to ping. Let's dance around Baron, right? Like, that's something you would have to type. There's no like soft commit, like we were saying. Yeah, maybe around it. Like you were saying in your example, the question mark on it after you ping it. I think, to me, that immediately says, should we? But again, it can be perceived differently. Maybe they're around.
So,
depends
like,
on the wave state.
What I would say is, in order to convey "let's dance," right? Mm-hmm. You ping danger on the edges of vision, right around Baron, and then you ping like "come to me" or "come here" on the map, and that's the only way I think you can convey that.
Yeah.
Right. And then
if they interpret it right, like right, like.
And then as a support, you need to make sure you have the vision set up on the other side of that wall, so that you're actually clear to be able to do it.
Yes.
And see, that's why whenever we were talking about pings and vision, that's how those two things are so inherently tied together, right? Because if I expand the vision cone and then I do danger just outside of vision in their jungle, that conveys something entirely different than if I just ping danger. Like, let's say this. Let's say I have the ward set up on the backside of Baron Pit, and we can see that bush that leads toward mid lane, and we can see the other side of blue, because if you ward over the wall by blue, there's a way to see like pretty much all of it if you hit that very edge, right? So I have those two wards out as a support, right? Now if I ping wolves, danger, that's indicating that we don't know if they are there, right? Now if that vision is not there, and I ping danger on the exact same spot on wolves, I'm actually pinging, they could be anywhere in that jungle, is how that ping will be interpreted.
Sure.
And that's...
It should be interpreted.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, like, your vision changes what your pings mean.
Yes.
On a fundamental level. It's like inflection in language, right? Like, and that's, I tell people whenever I, teach them how to testify in court, that inflection fucking matters. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, easiest sentence in the world. I love you, right? I can change my inflection or emphasis on any given word, and it changes what I mean, right? I love you. I love you. I love you. Right? Like, totally different meanings. Those three sentences, like, totally different. And so, that's what vision does to your ping. Like, it informs what your emphasis is with those pings.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we saw everybody on the map, and I click Baron, and then I click a question mark, everybody's going to interpret that as, do you guys want to do Baron?
Yeah.
But if we don't have vision on the map and I don't know where the fuck they are, I'm going to click Baron and then question mark, and everybody's going to go Baron, where are they? Is the natural response to that.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
okay.
So
Do you guys have anything to say about pings before I move on and twist off to a different topic real quick?
I really think, because I've been playing it a lot recently, that League needs to like overhaul the ping system. Like, yes, we have like the 5 main pings. I really think, because I've been playing Apex lately, you can play that entire game, no talking, no communication at all, just because of how in depth the pings are.
Yeah, it's an introvert's wet dream.
It is. Oh my god. It's, an enemy has been here. Okay, I'm looting over this way. I'm going this way. I'm scouting here. I'm watching here. There's all these different pings. Like, there's an enemy in this area. I see an enemy. Now, I don't know what League would put.
The fun thing about Apex is, like, it takes 10,000 bullets to kill somebody, so I consider enemy bullets to be pings telling me where their location is.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're over there. Okay.
Thanks for the
until
info.
you get the 2 people with snipers, and then you just, I found him. I'm on the ground, but I'm found him.
No. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, pings could be... You could add some things to make pings more effective. I don't know that I would put, like, 8 on the spindle, because then pinging becomes mechanical.
I would say 6.
You know what I mean? Like, but 6 would be alright.
Or, 6 unique ones, and then you have, like, the main blue ping.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean... Okay, go on.
Yeah.
No, you got it.
Okay. I just want to also add, like, to that, there's, I mean, with the limited amount of pings we have, there's, we also, like, I think it's important to know, like, what they mean. I have a friend who used to ping everything with a V ping, or I think it's also the control ping, which for me it's like the go back ping. But he used to ping that when he wanted to gank people. And no wonder his ganks didn't work out. So I think it's like, while I totally agree, I think they should add like maybe an like ward this area ping. I think that would be hella useful. Not only vision here, but also ward this, please. Also, like, it's important to know what the pings mean. Like the normal G ping, like the normal blue green thing on the map. That's just look here. There might be something here. Danger for me, like the red thing is more be careful, and the the control ping is really like back off, like it's just get out of there. So I think there's like way more things you can like nuance with which ping you actually use. For example, like if I want to gank someone, I ping obviously the person, but then also spam on the way as a support, as mid lane, like wherever, obviously. But then, as you said before, if I meet somebody, also you gotta ping back off or on my way somewhere else. So to tell them, no, I'm actually not coming anymore. This is not working out.
Yeah. All right. So I watched a video on Reddit like yesterday or something, and it was Sneaky, Medios, and Double talking about whether or not support is the easiest role, and then they later conclude that actually ADC is, which I thought was fun. But they were dogging on. I mean, it was mostly Double Lift was dogging on support and saying that like, it's because it's mechanically the easiest role, and hands down it is. Like I will, like given, right?
Yeah.
It is hands down the easiest role. But the depth of the role and how you play it is actually very deep. And just in terms of the like ping and vision control aspects of it, like the higher it goes, the deeper it is. Whereas the skill floor to play support is
Yumi.
Yeah, is very low. I mean, and it is.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to play Thresh to play support at a baseline level. Like you can play Soraka and do fucking nothing. You can play Yumi.
Jenna. Perfect.
No, Yumi was actually the best. Like that champion's a fucking
literally
parasite.
A
You're like fucking parasite. You just heal. Symbiotic parasite dog shit fucking champion. Anyway, but like the reality there is like, okay, I get the argument that skill floor is there, but it makes me kind of think to myself, and during the entire discussion, my thought is like, I see where he's coming from, and if you say what's the worst role, everybody always mentally jumps on support.
Right.
But the reality is, the reason that they do that is because we have conflated being good at League with being able to play it at a mechanically high level.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
those two things are inherently tied together. But realistically, that's not necessarily true. And I thought the most interesting thing that was said that kind of turned double around is he said, his point was, if I took a support main and put them in any other role, would you rather I take our support and make them a jungler, or take our jungler and make them a support?
Jungle support, 100%.
Jungle
Right.
support.
And that's, so then therefore, a support main is less valuable, overall, right? Like, that was the point he was trying to make. And they said, okay, but you're talking about cross applicability of skills is not necessarily depth of skill.
Yeah.
No.
So I got a couple things here actually.
Hit it.
First, since we've been talking about pings a lot, I wanted to hit on it earlier, but it just never came up. As an ADC player, it's harder to convey my pings and like convey what I want to do unless we're about to engage or I want to engage, because I can't be the one to step up because I'm a fucking ADC and we just lose the fight.
Yeah, because you're made out of glass and you got fragile ass bird bones.
Exactly.
That are
So, like,
hollow
I got
and weak.
glass bones and paper skin.
So like I have to, as an ADC, watch my macro or my micro a lot more, because if I fuck up a little bit, the ADC meme is, well, I'm gonna get one shot because assassins are everywhere, or you're able to get one shot so easily, or if you get CC'd, you're dead. So I have to watch my micro more, and I don't have as much time to convey those pings. Whereas support, you have so much of that time.
Oh.
You're able to be that voice of your team and be that leader. So I think it's really important skills for supports to have to be able to ping to your team. Again, like Blake was pointing out the enemy jungler every time you see him. 100%
It-
saves all of your lanes.
One of the things supports have an added advantage is that we don't have to look at the lane and the minions all the time.
Right.
So we have a lot more freedom to look at the mini map.
Right, you
No.
can play zoomed out. Is how
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say this as also a top laner. It's like I can look at the mini map more than most people. Like mid
Oh.
lane,
jungle. You
Yeah.
are
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at the map almost exclusively.
Oh, yeah,
Fucking
jungle.
do that.
Yes. Jungle, top. I think like mid and ADC are like the only ones you're not exclusive. Like you don't have more time looking at the mini
Yeah.
map.
Right.
Which
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Stove,
thing of the
like,
wall.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you have all the time in the world to look at the mini map because you don't move your fucking camera, right?
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Stupid fucking bastard. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway,
I
so-
almost made it to diamond, dude.
I'm
That was
cool. I mean, I've seen like the people on Reddit with like no hands that almost make it to diamond, and I wouldn't recommend it as a viable strategy. Like, man, these hands are just holding me back. If I just lopped those fuckers off, I could make it to diamond like that tragic storied child or whatever.
Or I
Like,
could I could be like that guy who duo queued with himself and just played Yumi.
oh yeah, the guy with
Like,
the playing the
Yumi has
keyboard with
feet.
his feet or whatever. Like, oh god.
That was
The
great.
fact that Riot has designed a champion that you can play with your fucking feet is like, in and
One
of
person
itself,
can
should be
play
a fucking
two
meme.
roles.
All right, so guys, next episode, I think we are going to talk about the movement rework and how Riot is attempting to rehash some of the exceptional amount of movement that has crept into the game and smashing down some items that kind of address some of that as an issue. I do want to get on a very small soapbox real quick. So when Riot first discussed the proliferation of movement, I think they did that in response to Echo like several years ago. Because everybody talked about how Echo had movement creep, how he had ability creep because he had 100 passives. He had all of the things in
His ult was free.
His ult was free, and you could, revert all the damage, and he has the heal, and the moves, and the shield, and the stun, and he's like the Jello pudding pop of champions because he has fucking everything, and it's delicious. Anyway, so like, Echo was this big fucking thing, and Riot addressed specifically, like, way back then, yeah, we are kind of worried about mobility creep. Like, that's a thing that we are absolutely concerned about. We've put a lot of mobility in the game, and we're watching it to make sure it's at healthy levels. And this is my number one complaint about Riot. Like, you recognize that all the way back then. Then we released a whole bunch of champions that also have a ton of movement shit in them. So someone along the way concluded that maybe movement's not so bad. And like, okay, so that's the route we're going to take with the game. Cool. You have a ton of champions that are balanced around the fact that they do not have dashes. Like, how strong, for example, would Ezreal be without his E? If you took that out of his kit, he'd be a dog shit champion with, whatever. It's a huge part of his kit to be able to do that, right? That's how we've balanced the champion. It's included.
Oh.
Now, when you make an item that does that, so any champion that doesn't have that limitation now has a dash on demand, that instantaneously breaks the game. And a fundamental point that I don't think can realistically be addressed. Because the entire kit design is based upon the fact that you don't have access to a dash.
To additional movement.
Additional movement. Kog'Maw being another example of a champion that was designed with the weakness in mind. They don't have additional movement, and if you get on them, they are fucking dead, right?
Yep.
Now,
I was gonna say, you want for Darius. Darius should never be able to get on you hard. And
Udyr.
Stridebreaker just gave him.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
Oh yeah, Udyr. Darius shouldn't be able to move up and slow you on top of pulling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so keep in mind, I've been talking about ADCs because that's the easiest way to connect the dots, because Ezreal is such an obvious example. But the class of Juggernaut, the entire fucking class is designed around the idea that they're this lumbering behemoth of a thing that has no real way to get on you, but if somehow you fuck up and they recognize it and they do get on you, you will lose that engagement. Like, it will happen. Now I'm going to make an item that allows that to happen at will and see what happens, right? Like, clearly, this is not good for the state of the game. Like, I don't see how anybody thought it would be, right?
Yeah, I mean, with that, like, Udyr as the prime example, there was only one reason he was ever in the meta. He used to be the champion that I memed as the absolute favorite I saw on the enemy team, because he just runs at you, right? You just walk backwards and you kill him. And it pigeonholes these champions into items that they have to build. I know we talk about build diversity. I think you talked about it last episode. How do we really want it? Probably not. We just want the most efficient, what UGG says. Unless we're playing our one trick where we want to be creative. But that's very niche. So like Jhin, I was a Jhin one trick it for a long time. I can't ever not go Gale Force right now. If I'm building full lethality, I still have to start Gale Force. I don't go Duskblade because Gale Force is too valuable as a tool. If the enemy AD carry has it, I always get ran down, and I don't have an oh shit button. Whereas having that, safety net, quote unquote.
And plus you have an automatic fourth shot button.
Right.
And it's like these are things like, keep in mind, Jhin was never designed to have that.
Right.
That's why he has force shot.
Yes.
That's why anyway, the whole point here, and also that's why his force shot has a fucking movement speed buff.
Movement speed buff. Yes.
So
Speed buff, execution.
this is the kind of shit that drives me crazy. It's like Riot recognizes these problems and they turn around and do it. And while I am glad that they are acknowledging this fix, it is part of a worrying trend for me who sees this and said, from the outset, you should have recognized that this was bad, and you did, and you did it anyway. And look, I was first and foremost on the train of, yes, I get that you have to spice up the game. Like, yes, I get that every year you have to do something to the game that's crazy. It's cool, I get it, because the game will get old if you don't, and you don't want that, because once it gets stale, the game's dead. Cool, I get it, right? But that's like, there's got to be value in what it is you do. And like all the plants I thought were stupid add-on to the game, and I wasn't excited about it at all. And then I played with them, and I'm like, actually, all right, I like this. This is fun. This adds something. Elemental dragons I wasn't so sure about, but it was interesting. And you know what? Now that they've finally planed it out, it's way more engaging than I kill dragon, I get 150 goals. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. It's an objective that is kind of fun to get, and it's more than just a pile of gold.
Turret
Okay.
plating.
Yeah, turret plating was
we
like
shat on turret plating forever, but now that it's like it's still strong. It's still gonna enable a snowball.
Well, hold on. Let's back up right there. We did not shit on turret plating. I shat on the amount of money that turret plating generated, but I thought the idea was fucking cool. Like, I've always said, the idea of turret plating is cool, neat, and I'm glad that there's now a trade-off for roaming. That's whatever. That's fine, but the value of it was all fucked up. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, but it's like, that was a problem, and like, they're fixing it. Like, it's slow. I hate to say that, like, we have a problem with it now, but it's something that I feel Riot will fix. Like, they do make these crazy, crazy things. Like, the items, they're just starting to feel better now. Yeah. If we want to remember the start of the season, Eclipse, Dustblade, Gore Drinker, Sunfire
Cape, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was batshit insane, but at least right now, they're starting to get it. They're starting to, like, alright, we're gonna, like, adjust things. And especially with the new patch, because, like, the preview they put out is, like, there's a lot, like, there's a whole page of just item changes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they want to, like, try to at least, they will get to it. It's just we're suffering through it now.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I think stats are cool. I think even to a certain degree, like Dead Man's Plate, I could theoretically put a whole lot of the same complaints at the feet of Dead Man's Plate. It gives you movement speed, right? Like, characters aren't designed to have movement speed, and that's a balancing thing. The difference is that the movement speed that Dead Man's Plate gives you, and the fact that it has a limiting factor that requires you to rebuild and refresh it, breaks 0 champions in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I never got a champion and went like, oh god, he got his Dead Man's Plate, the game is over, I can't do anything.
Right.
Like, that feeling does not happen, right? So it's not as much of an offender. But the ability to, like, baby flash is, I mean, with damage and other, like,
damage, slow, like whatever,
fucking dumb.
execution.
Right. Yeah.
And just repositioning.
Yeah.
Like, just repositioning would be good enough. But, like, regardless, these are things that, yes, I'm glad that they're addressing it. I honestly wish they had not put that in the game in the first place. And had I worked at Riot and had anybody that was able to listen to me, I'd be like, you already said not to do this. Don't do the things that you said not to do. you know,
I mean, kind of the same thing with like damage creep, power creep. Like Gale Force in itself is problematic, but the fact that it's execute damage and has like 80 scaling, like I think Gale Force would be a strong item without the without the damage. Prowler's Claw would be a strong item without the damage amplification. Like, I mean, I don't want to start a whole another topic on the power creep and damage creep that's, I think, for sure been happening with keystones and now mythics and all that kind of stuff. But, like, they just always they're good at recognizing what's wrong, but they're really slow at fixing it, and like sometimes I think stubborn about fixing it. I mean, look at
that
Zane.
is
She
a
was
very
broken
good
for
Yeah,
point.
yep.
a year or
That is
something.
a very good point.
Uh,
Thank
so
you.
like on the things that are like, I could rant a whole episode about this, but healing versus heal cut, like sometimes I question myself when I build heal cut, like what's the point? But like healing just so outdoes the heal cut.
Right. And so on that,
Mhm.
Riot discussed a long time ago. I think it was Morello that put out the post. I don't remember, but it was several years ago, and we actually did an episode on it. And the post is just kind of like a thinking out loud from a game designer's perspective.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Is Soraka even good for League of Legends? Like, is that a good champion to have in League of Legends?" And he's like, "And if I were designing her today, I would not put her in the game."
So I actually
Oh, no, I
am
mean
okay with
this is
Soraka.
what no, but I mean this is what he
Yeah.
said, right?
Right.
I'm not saying obviously I
Right.
fucking hate Soraka, but whatever. But he was like, yeah, I wouldn't put her in because I don't think a white mage has a place in League of Legends. And then they did the rework or whatever to try to create her more of a niche, and I thought that was better. But like,
She definitely can be like, no, they definitely moved her where like she doesn't have to be far behind her ADC. Like she has to move up.
Right.
At least even with the ADC.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit ahead if, they max Q.
Sure.
yeah,
And like just on the Soraka point, I think she's okay for the game, only because you're taking away your own health bar, whereas Yumi, you're just losing mana, right? And I'm mass healing everyone and not being punished in any way. There's no repercussion, other than mana, which is
yeah, and I think
insignificant to
they
me,
tried
so.
to design that to say, oh, well, you have to pop out and auto attack somebody to fill back up your mana. So
Right,
therefore, you're putting yourself at
But
risk,
then-
but the risk
Yeah,
isn't
at
really
risk,
all
right.
that real.
Yeah.
But then
Exactly.
every support item has some kind of mana regen.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
percentage mana regen, so they're always
Agreed.
gonna get it back. And
Yeah.
can I just go one? There's just one little angry rant about Yumi.
Hit it. This
Why
is the
the-
time.
Okay,
Yeah.
as someone who plays Kha'Zix, why the fuck is the ADC not isolated when Yumi's
Oh.
attached to them?
Ooh.
Oh, that does suck. I didn't even
It's
realize that was a
That's kinda
thing.
lame.
I can't, like if I see a Yumi, I can't go bot because they're never gonna hop off. They're
Right.
never gonna be isolated. There goes like a good 40% of Kha'Zix damage is through isolation. It's like if you're gonna have me not be able to target this little rat on a book, let me at least kill the person they're attached to, and then they can pop out.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, if you know that interaction as a Yumi too, like, of course you never pop out.
Never
Why would
pop
you?
out.
Right?
You see
I-
a
yeah.
Kha'Zix? All right, I'm never popping out. Nope, never.
Whoever he's on, I'm attached to instantly, in team fights, or yeah.
I honestly think it's like you can have a white mage. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with healing. I say healing as a concept.
Right.
The problem
Agreed.
is the numbers and how it works, and then the anti-healing is all fucked. Right?
Okay, so I want to address that because I disagree, but my disagreement is not 100%. So here we go. I think shielding is far more appropriate for the game of League of Legends than healing is.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
healing requires no skill. It requires no choice. It's just you are low and I'm going to make you less low. Shielding requires you to intervene. And I think that requires you to make a skilled decision, either in anticipation or reaction of something. Where I think healing is literally universally better than shielding and is fucking dumb. Right?
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is that it changes the dynamic of who you must target in order to win a game, even if the person is entirely useless. So if they have a fed Vayne, I can't target Vayne because I have to kill Soraka first.
That's right.
And that fucking distorts the game. And it doesn't matter. And the problem is you can't shut that down because I'm giving hit points to someone else. Right?
true.
Like,
Yep.
so, you know, it makes a target. And see, like, look at all the comparables in League. Like, there's Janna, which kind of does the same thing, right?
Mhm.
And can do a lot of peeling and a lot of shielding, and the shield is on a relatively low cooldown. So yes, you should probably target Janna, right?
Sure.
But the reality of that situation is that there are shield busting items that are actually effective.
True.
There are shield busting skills that are actually effective. And like it still requires you to time and it wears off.
Yeah.
Versus like if I heal up a Vayne and then run away and try to drop heal bombs to fill back up myself, I can do that. And whether Vayne's 100 miles away from me, I don't have to refresh the hit points I gave them. They're just off to the races, right?
Yeah.
And then the other major issue, like actually, let's even go one further. Compared to like Zillion, right? Who, if Zillion has an ult, kind of have to calculate that as part of the fight because you probably can't kill the biggest guy twice. So you got to kill somebody else first, right? And why is that not problematic, Blake? Why are you not mad about that? And the reality is, it's because it still requires timing. You have to pick when the person is going to die and intervene.
Yep.
So
and it also puts that fed person in a stasis. Like you know where they are if you kill them.
yeah,
Like
And when.
and when,
When they'll
and they're
respond.
coming back up, and you can gang rape
there's
them
a little
afterwards. And that's
animation
how
you
that's
can
going to work.
time it up.
But like the last problem that I have is that healing is too forgiving. Right? Like I told you shielding requires intervention and healing does not. After the shield is gone, let's say I do intervene and we are down behind in lane and you've taken a bunch of damage and I've shielded some of it, but you're at 30% health. I can never top you off. Right? Like healing is super forgiving. If I heal you, then you're all the way back up. Right? Like you're back up at 100. Everything that they have done to you up to this point no longer matters. Right?
Yeah.
Versus a shield, if you're at 30% health and I shield you, the most I'm ever going to give you is back up to like 50% health or whatever. It's not dispositive. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's a way too forgiving part of the game that I think is unfortunate. But I think at a lower level, it's not as disruptive and terrible. I have never had issue with Nami being a champion. Like, I think Nami is a very well designed champion, super
Agreed.
fun, great fit into the game.
Yep.
Soraka ain't that. You know,
Fair.
Yumi
Yeah.
ain't that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the problem is if you have a white mage that is, I don't feel like Nami's a white mage. I feel like
Agreed,
Nami is a good support that has a lot of utility and also has some sustain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll piggyback off that too, like the shielding point. Like I completely agree with. Like, it's just like exhaust, right? You can't exhaust after they full comboed you because then your spell is useless. You have to do it while or as they're about to. Same thing with shielding because it wears off. You can't do it after their combo or too early, or it's ineffective. And as you said, after the damage is done, if it's not lethal, you just hit your heal button over and over until your ADC is healed. And then yeah, with Nami, I think she's super underrated right now. She's one of my favorite supports. Engage, heal-ish, and then peel. Yeah.
Stove, you're making weird faces like you just ate
okay.
something. At least I think you are. I can't really tell. It might be your camera.
So I agree that Nami's great. I just hate Nami because that reminds me of my ex.
Did you date a fish woman?
900,000 point Nami main.
Oh. Huh.
I dated a mermaid once. It reminds me.
How was that experience?
Stove
I played Jin.
Was she like lady top fish bottom or fish top lady bottom?
Mixed.
How does fish bottom work?
It depends. It
What,
depends on,
what does mixed mean exactly in the context
full
of
moon
it?
or not.
She had a head and feet, but the middle part was all fish.
Yeah, that.
Like, what the fuck? It was really hard for her to breathe, and she swam really slow with her human feet. I don't know what happened. A sailor was involved and a horny narwhal, and out came Stove's girl. Anyway, all right, we'll end the podcast with that tonight. Thank you guys for coming on. Love to hear your thoughts, listeners, about how this went. I hope I don't have any lingering audio issues. I'm still experimenting to try to figure out if I have solved those. I think I have. I hope I have. And if I haven't, I guess you'll tell me. Please, there is podcast feedback in the Discord. That is a channel. Please use that to let us know what you think. Also, before we go, Stove, you bought something?
So, I did post it in the Discord. I found it. I was at like a candy shop at the mall, and it's sweet corn pretzels.
Okay, and have you tried those prior to now?
I have not. So, I'm going to try it. I mean, it's legitimately just a pretzel stick. Like, it's a breadstick.
Okay, let's have it.
$3. All right.
How is it?
That's weird. I don't like. That's weird. I'm legitimate. Like, it's like the corn soda. I legitimately feel like I'm eating buttered corn.
You know what's really fucked up? I had named this show after the fact that you told me you were going to eat this live on the show for the first time. I named the show "Fuck It, We're Eating It Live" after that O'Reilly thing.
And
where
now
he
it's
was
at
like,
the end.
And now it's at the very ass end of the show. People are going to be super confused up till right now what the fuck I was talking about. But I almost forgot it entirely, so I
Yeah, it
can't
was like-
imagine.
I put it on my desk. I wasn't even looking at it. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
wait,
almost
it's right there.
completely forgot all about it, and then that would have been the title of the show, and we would have never eaten anything. Well, I guess we did make that. People would have thought it was the topic about Ernie eating all the cereal and shit. That would have been what they would have thought about, and then yeah.
You know what? It's like a sandwich. You have the top part and the bottom part.
Yeah. So if you guys want to say anything to the people, go for it. Otherwise, we're gonna shut this down. All right.
Work here.
Don't main Yumi.
Don't main Yumi.
Oh, yeah. Don't
Be
make
a
me-
decent human being. Don't main Yumi. Tell
Play
your
League
friends.
of Legends. Don't play Yumi.
Don't play Yumi. Just don't do it. All right. So, with that being said, good night, everybody!